There's other people that will say May is actually a really good time to sell your house because even though there's more inventory, there's some different stats that show that's a good time to sell. I'm of the opinion that if you want to sell, you want low inventory, you want competition, and if your home is desirable for the right person and there's not many other homes on the market, that person's gonna feel pressure to pay more. Hey guys, Jake Nicolle here. It's March 1st, which means we have a new market stats video I'm super pumped to dive into today's video where we talk about where's the market at, what's happening. Now, if you like these videos, every single month, you can click here and check out our playlist where we do market stats. We dive in, we talk about January, February, every single month. So today's March 1st, which means we're gonna be looking at February stats. The month is done. What do the numbers tell us? So we're gonna take a look at my computer over here. And the first thing you'll notice is that the market went from 723 in January as an average. We're talking houses all the way Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, Hamilton, into the whole Niagara region. We can see that the market went from an average price of $723,000 and change to $757,000. Now, the quick math on that is that's about a 4.7, it's like 4.66% increase in the value of houses on average. For us, what that means is that you could start to kind of hypothesize, like, okay, that means the market is bouncing back, things are going up in value, maybe it's gonna be another bull market. Here's my perspective, okay? If you're a buyer and maybe you're panicking a little bit right now because you're like, oh, the market's jumping back up, or you're a seller and you're thinking like,
this is gonna be great, the market's gonna go up, I should keep waiting, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer to sell.
Here's my recommendation. If you're a buyer, I think you can buy now because it's still, prices are incredibly good, or I think you could also continue to wait as spring unleashes more inventory so that you make sure you buy the place you really want. If you're an investor who has short-term mindsets around what should I do, I'd say in general, it's impossible for me to tell you exactly what's gonna happen with short-term stuff because things are changing. But if you're buying with the long-term in mind, you're gonna be just fine. Now, my last opinion on this, and remember guys, these are just my opinions. My last opinion on this is that if you're a seller, I still think right now is the best time to sell. I think that because we've got low inventory, it's a really good time to be selling. We know that every year though, once April and May rolls around, inventory goes up. And I think now you're competing with a bunch of other people. There's other people that will say May is actually a really good time to sell your house because even though there's more inventory, there's some different stats that show that's a good time to sell. I'm of the opinion that if you want to sell, you want low inventory, you want competition. And if your home is desirable for the right person and there's not many other homes on the market, that person's gonna feel pressure to pay more. So, okay, we talked about the average sale price. Now let's look at new listings. So the cool thing is that we can see new listings is also up. It's a little bit flat looking though. It's not as many new listings as we'd hope. And that's because I think what's happening here is that we don't have a ton of listings hitting the market. We have sellers who still aren't seeing the prices that they want, so they're holding off selling. And I think as the market starts to get closer to spring, those sellers are gonna start to relist and we'll see other sellers also relisting. And here's the thing, guys, we've got tons of new listings coming up, okay? We've got new listings that we're announcing right now. We have new listings that you haven't seen yet. Let me tell you my firsthand experience with sellers. They're becoming more realistic about sales prices. I'm now having conversations with sellers where they're like, you know what, Jake?
That isn't the price that we wanted before, but we see that what we want to buy is also way down, so we're willing to come down on our price.
And I'm seeing those conversations happening, which means that I think sellers are getting more realistic. So we can see here, January to February, there's only about 500 or so more houses that have been listed as new listings. So we went from 7,100 and change to 7,600, okay? If we look at February of the year before, we can see last January 2022, there was 5,800 houses. February 2022, there was 9,400 houses. So we went from 5,800 to 9,400. That's almost double. So right here, when I look at this does feel like there's a slowing of new listings hitting the market, but I still think it's just because we're trying to figure out what's going on with the market. And as soon as we get closer to spring, I anticipate a lot of sellers having to sell. And there's people that are waiting right now because they're like hoping the market's gonna bounce back before they sell. And they're gonna just have to list no matter what because interest payments are higher than they expected, whatever. And if we look at January to February in 2019, we can see that that month was also really flat and then inventory picked up. That month actually looks negative. There was like In January 2019, 7,965 houses, and then the next month, 7,900. So less houses being listed, and then we can see it took off, and then May's the peak each year, okay? Except for COVID. This is the funky COVID year. You can see over here, this was the year following COVID, it was a little bit weird as well, and then we can see last year was May. So May's consistently the year. If I zoom way out on this, you guys have seen our other market stats videos. If you haven't, definitely check them out, because we dive a little deeper into this. You can see every single year May's the height of listings, okay? And you can see January and February, there is this little weird thing that happens, okay, where the inventory gets eaten up and there's less houses that get listed, and then things take off. So see that? It's like this little lip. It happens almost every year. So really reassuring. It's a good reminder. Obviously, we can see that the last couple of years, things, actually it happened, yeah, the last couple of years, things have gone kind of crazy. But then we can see that most years we've got this little lip here. And then in homes for sale, look at this pattern. It's like the rhythm of the market, which is so cool. I love how the market has a heartbeat. We can see what's going on this month. Just like every year, we're slowly starting to move up in the number of homes that are stacking up on the market that are for sale, okay? Number of sales spiking upward. Again, this happens every single year. January, February, the market starts heating up. So there's not a lot of dramatic changes that are unique or that interesting. We can definitely see the days on market as an average has decreased from 41 to 35, all right? Kind of still in the same area in terms of days on market. And if we look at other years, we can see that January, February, you can see the numbers start coming down, right? December, January, February, days on market drops a little bit, and then it goes up over the summer, okay? So we're just heading into that season. I hope that you guys are taking time to really think about these numbers, because we hear a lot of opinions about where we think the market's gonna go, but it's a good reminder that every year the market tends to kind of follow a pattern, and we wanna look at that pattern and then ask ourselves, how do we think this year would be different, if at all, and what does it look like? And remember, the biggest change, if we look at all of these stats spread out over the max amount of time here, we can see the biggest change happens on this day. And I've said this in other videos, but March 2020, you guys remember what happened? March 13th, a Friday in 2020, we announced COVID as a pandemic. We had huge unemployment numbers the months following, and then the government started to stimulate. We printed a bunch of money, we lowered interest rates. So that's really what's caused this massive shift, and now we're getting back to normal by raising those interest rates, all right? So we can see things are selling a little bit closer to the percent of original list price, which is great to see. All right, that's also, from my opinion, because I think sellers are also getting more accurate in terms of what they're actually listing their houses at. And then let's see this last one here as well, which is the percent of list price. So look at that, 90. So essentially we're selling houses at the price they're being listed at. So some good stats for you guys. Hey, if you've enjoyed today's video, drop a comment below. Let me know, where do you think the market in 2023 is gonna go? Do you think interest rates are going to remain flat? Do you think the Bank of Canada will lower interest rates despite the fact that we've still got very high inflation? Tell me your thoughts. I'm looking forward to hearing them. And as always, guys, Jake Nicolle here. If you're out there shopping the market, you're trying to figure things out, pick up the phone, give me a call, 289-216-6852. If the line is busy, please call again, my friends. Looking forward to seeing you and chatting with you soon. Cheers.